two teenagers, Destiny Sissom and Anthony Taylor, found themselves in a difficult situation after having a child. But there was uncertainty over who the father was, and now both families stood before the court, ready to wage a battle over paternity, responsibility, and ultimately, the truth.
What stands before me is a case of babies having babies, teenagers. This is upsetting. With that said, Miss Sissom, you and your teenage daughter, Destiny, are here to prove that Anthony Taylor is the father of your daughter's 8-month-old son, Osiris. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Destiny's mother, Marilyn Sissom, was adamant Anthony was the father of her grandson, Osiris. There was no doubt in her mind. She had seen this before, a child left fatherless, just as she had been when she lost her father at a young age. Osiris deserved a father, and she was here to ensure he got one.
I lost my dad when I was 2, so I know what it's like not to have a father. But I'm not here because of me. I'm not here because of Destiny. I'm here because of Osiris.
Destiny, you truly believe Anthony is this child's father?
Yes, Your Honor.
You've changed the course of your life by having this baby.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Anthony's mother, Brenda Riley, refused to accept that her son had any responsibility for the child. From the moment she learned of Destiny's pregnancy, she became suspicious. The courtroom quickly became a battlefield, with both mothers launching accusations across the room.
She was sneaking at my house. She was coming over here lying, conniving, saying, I have a 14-year-old daughter at home. She was sneaking over there, hollering about she was coming over there to see my daughter.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
My son was going to school. How are you going to tell me what's a lie?
Because, Your Honor, they was having sex in her house.
Didn't even
And
where
she,
your daughter
what
was
type
at.
of parent is she? If she gonna tell them, she told them.
Destiny and Anthony had planned their meetings carefully, formulating the lies that had kept their parents in the dark. They had used Brenda's house as their hideaway, taking advantage of her trust, and she unknowingly allowed it. But even then, Brenda clung to her belief that the child wasn't her grandchild, and she had her reasons.
Your Honor, I see her walking with another guy. My son at school, this is before Destiny said anything about she was pregnant. Next thing you know, I find out that my son come telling me that she told him that she pregnant. How is that? You just came around 2 weeks ago? And he was messing with another girl at the time.
Marilyn wasn't backing down. She fiercely defended her daughter's honor, insisting there was no question about who the father was. Her daughter had been a virgin before Anthony. She was absolutely sure of it. But in this courtroom, certainty didn't count for much. Without proof, her words were just another claim in a battle that demanded evidence.
Now, to Mom, Miss Sissom, you know it's Miss Riley's house where she's going to have. You don't know. She just saying I'm going over my friends.
That's all I
That's
know.
where I am.
That's all
So you don't even know about Anthony.
No.
You think your daughter's a virgin.
She was a virgin when she met Anthony. So, therefore, yes, it's Anthony's baby.
The stakes had never been higher. For Destiny, this was about securing a future for her son. For Marilyn, it was about justice. For Brenda, it was about protecting her son from a life-altering responsibility that may not even be his.
One of her family members threatened us. So yes, I did, because my daughter ain't finna go through this with her. She young. I tried to call this woman and talk to this woman like a woman when she was pregnant. So don't sit up here and tell that lie.
Calm down.
Goddamn lie.
Ladies.
Oh, wait a minute.
Ladies, hold on.
I don't think they want to calm down. These two are at the tip of getting physical. This case has been a battlefield of emotions, each testimony a step closer to either truth or devastating heartbreak. With both mothers at each other's throats, the judge wanted to hear from Anthony.
Do you believe you are Osiris's biological father?
Yes, I do.
You do believe that?
Yes.
And tell me why.
Because I picked Destiny and I took her virginity, and I felt like I was getting into a lot of trouble and things that was happening, and I felt like...
Very thoughtful. Now, we can understand why he signed the birth certificate without any issues. Anthony seemed to have planned the whole thing out, and he confirmed Destiny's earlier statement. Everyone seemed to be in agreement except Brenda. But was she right? The moment of truth arrived.
Mr. Taylor, you are his father.
It's understandable how Marilyn would feel this way. Hey, I probably would have reacted the same way if I were in her shoes. All the shouting, all the accusations, all the pain. The truth cut through it all. Brenda had practically accused Destiny of playing games, but this is still Judge Lauren's court, and she had had enough of the bickering. It is time for the results.
About the most ignorant stuff I done seen in here in a long time. Sit down. Miss Sissom, you sit in that chair. Miss Sissom, sit down. And Miss Riley, have a seat. This is just ignorant. Come over here, Anthony. Sit down. him. You all are just, this is shameful.
This is Anthony Johnson, and he is convinced he'd been tricked. He claimed Alexis Owens had deliberately misled him into believing he was the father of little Dakari, only for him to learn later that she had been involved with another man. And not just any man, one who was now dead, making it impossible to confirm the truth without a DNA test.
Mr. Johnson, you claim the defendant, Ms. Owens, initially led you to believe that her child was your biological son. You say you were there when Dakari was born, and you even signed his birth certificate. But you recently learned that Ms. Owens slept with another man.
Anthony wasn't just skeptical, he was angry. He had been there for Dakari's birth and even signed the birth certificate, believing in his heart that this was his son. But then, he started noticing signs that he had been taken for a fool. Judge Lauren wants to get to the meat of the matter.
Well, I feel like I've been misled, you know? She was telling me, you know, one minute that, oh yeah, you're the father. Then the next minute she's telling me, a couple years down the line, that I'm not the father, you know?
Things got even messier when Alexis claimed that Anthony had done nothing to support the baby, just showing up and nothing more. But Anthony wasn't about to let that accusation go unanswered. He shot back, ready to defend himself.
Living together, we both noticed that he started looking like the other dude, which is Dwayne.
You had this discussion.
Yes.
The baby got a little older, you felt like he started looking like the other potential father, and so you had a
Fat? Dude, are you for real? If these insults start flying, this case could get really long. I don't think Alexis will take this. This wasn't just about paternity anymore. It's now personal, and Judge Lauren will have to step in.
At some point, you two were in a relationship, am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
You got pregnant? He was at the hospital. Mr. Johnson was at the hospital.
you.
And
for the
I
birth.
paid for him to come to the hospital. I bought his
sorry?
ticket. I paid for him to come back.
Where's all this coming
and
from, though,
I paid
man?
for him to go to Chicago.
Anthony is super convinced that he is not the child's father and has been taken for a ride. An angry person can say crazy things, but Alexis seems to know just how to handle him. The judge wanted to know how Alexis could have made the mistake of assuming Anthony was her baby daddy in the first place.
Too, you know, when I look at that picture, I see love. You know, I was there with him since he was born. You know, I really care about him. I really want him to be my son. That's without a doubt. I really want him to be my son. I signed the birth certificate.
I paid for you to sign
everything,
birth certificate.
even after he was born.
When you signed that birth certificate, did you have doubt?
He said he did at one
Yes, I
point.
did.
Anthony is furious, but is this righteous anger, or is he posturing? Whatever it is, it won't last long. Not in Judge Lauren's courtroom. She's seen it all before, and she isn't the type to let emotions take over the proceedings. If Anthony wants to be heard, he'll have to rein it in and speak with facts, not fury.
This could be my child's father that passed
Well,
away.
if you shut up
Go
and quit
ahead, man,
talking,
go
you can
ahead,
hear
go
something
ahead. I
with
just
them
wanna hear
little
your
bitty
answer.
ears.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, like I said, it was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind, okay?
How could that
And-
not be in your mind?
Little
you had
one,
sex
can you,
with him.
little one, can you
had
calm down?
sex with him.
Pipe down, little one.
You had sex with him. How could that not be in your mind?
Sit, dog.
How could that not be in
Sit.
your mind?
Hold on, she wasn't finished. The judge was done playing referee. She wasn't about to waste another second on their pointless arguments. Anthony and Alexis had turned her courtroom into a battlefield, and she'd had enough. But then Alexis took it one step too far, and she wished she didn't.
You're not making anybody look
Hold on.
bad
First
except
of all,
yourself.
you up here talking
no,
to me?
I'm addressing him next.
Oh, well, you should
So
get
the
him first.
point is, no. Let's get this straight. I address what I want to address in the order I want to address it.
What started as a legal proceeding had spiraled into a full-blown spectacle. Judge Lauren took a moment to compose herself after forcing Anthony and Alexis to realize how ridiculous they had been acting. This was about Dakari, a little boy who deserved to know the truth, deserved a father, and deserved parents who could act like adults instead of clowns in a courtroom. And just before the moment of truth, the judge had one final warning.
You telling him to sit down, he telling you and cursing you out, you calling her names, that's potentially the mother of your child. There is a young boy here, Dakari. I don't want him up here acting like you or you. I don't want him acting like either one of you. You are a terrible example to your child of what a respectful human being acts like. Clowning in here.
This nonsense stops today. If Anthony was the father, he had to step up. If he wasn't, then Alexis had to accept the truth and move forward. But what neither of them was going to do was keep tearing each other down at the expense of an innocent child. Now, for the results.
Mr. Johnson, you are not his father.
There it is. There it is. Right there.
This case isn't just about paternity. It's a full-blown crisis. At the center of it all is young Miss White, standing in court, desperate to set the record straight for her 3-month-old daughter. From the start, it's clear that young Miss White's self-esteem issues have led her down a dangerous road. According to her mother, it wasn't just a mistake here or there, it was a pattern.
Fathered your 3-month-old daughter, but say you blame your mother. Both possible fathers have been tested and are waiting outside of the courtroom.
Although young Miss White's mother is standing up for her, Miss White admits that her struggles with weight and confidence pushed her toward reckless behavior. And now, with 2 possible fathers standing outside the courtroom waiting for DNA results, the stakes couldn't be higher.
She have low self-esteem. She said because her weight problem. I say she look beautiful to me. You know, she can go to the Y.
But what sends this case over the edge is the sheer chaos surrounding Miss White's choices. Her mother recounts how her daughter seeks validation in all the wrong places from all the wrong people. A dangerous, self-destructive cycle that had finally reached its breaking point.
And it's like sometimes when I went to school, I wanted to wear True Religion, rock Republican. I wanted to wear stuff like that, but you know, I couldn't fit into it. And you know, as my mom said, she offered to take me to the Y, but when I went up to the Y, I got teased on up there. And
Miss White did not deny that. For her, the world wasn't so kind. She would never be enough, no matter what she did. And so, she turned to the one place where she thought she could find love. This led to a tangled web of intimacy, blurred lines, and poor judgment that only further complicated the paternity question. Now, the judge will have to sieve through each man.
I wanted someone to, you know, Valentine's Day, I wanted gifts. I wanted to be, you know, walk in parks. I wanted all that, and I never got it.
So you were dating and sleeping with more than one guy?
Yes, Sean, I was.
At the same time?
Yes.
One of the potential daddies confesses to something even more shocking, an incident involving a 3-way with Miss White. The situation was already out of control, but this revelation sent it straight into disaster territory.
Yes, because my daughter, she's finding love in all the wrong places. I wake up, she want to be a love, she want boyfriends, but you don't find them like that going on Craigslist. Moco space, you know, you jeopardizing your life, you getting into cars at nighttime, sitting in a strange car with people I've never seen before.
The mother is clearly not happy. The judge is listening, but she's not impressed. Before she could continue, she wanted to hear from her friend, the ultimate matchmaker, the one who orchestrated the whole situation. Perhaps she has an explanation.
At some point, found out you were pregnant.
Yes, Sean.
Tell me what happened.
I was going to my friend's house. You know, I felt as though she was my real friend. She had my best interest in mind.
Now, there are different versions of the story. Enough with the victim mentality. Miss White's choices weren't just unfortunate circumstances, they were reckless. And now, an innocent child was caught in the middle.
I wasn't dating him. That was just like a one-night stand, Your Honor.
But obviously, you slept with him during that same period of conception.
Yes.
Were there any other men you were with during this time?
There was a other guy that I had met at her house.
The judge doesn't sugarcoat it. She calls it what it is, a pattern of self-destruction disguised as a search for love. And it needs to end. Now, whether it was the friend who was pushing her or not, she had to make her own decisions. And the men in question, they don't escape her wrath either.
You all can argue back and forth across this aisle, but this is her choice. And she admits that she's sleeping with men for the wrong reasons. She already said that. And ultimately, you know this is your responsibility.
Yes, Your Honor.
The time for bad choices is over. The time for self-pity is done. It's time to grow up, step up, and break the cycle before history repeats itself. For Miss White, it's a reality check that can't be ignored. And then, the moment everyone has been waiting for, the DNA results.
Mr. Clopton, you are not the father. Mr. Langford, you are her father.
Some cases unravel slowly, piece by piece. Others explode in the courtroom, but this one, it did both. At the center of the dispute is a 6-month-old baby, Kendall, born with a serious medical condition that may be genetic.
My son has to see a surgeon twice a month. He's in and out of the hospital with infections in his intestines, and my son deserves to know who his dad is.
And it is
How
zero
come I wasn't at
doubt
the
in your
hospital
mind.
whenever you had baby then?
Because you ignored my calls and text messages.
So, Ms. Renfro, there's zero doubt in your mind that your son's biological father is Mr. Tuesday.
I'm 100% sure that he's the father.
The baby's mother, Ms. Renfrau, has no doubts. She is absolutely certain that Mr. Tuesday is the father. Her conviction isn't just emotional. She believes that Kendall's health issues could be linked to Tuesday's DNA, making today's paternity results more than just a question of responsibility. For her, the truth could mean understanding her child's medical future.
Ms. Renfro, you claim you are 100% certain that the defendant is the father of your 6-month-old son, Kendall. You say Kendall was born with a serious medical condition and believe it was genetically passed down by the defendant. And that's why today's paternity results are critical. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
But Tuesday isn't convinced, not even a little. In his mind, there is no chance he's the father, and today's test is nothing more than a formality to clear his name. From the very beginning, he has denied any possibility of paternity, standing firm in his belief that Ms. Renfrau is mistaken, or worse, lying.
Mr. Tuesday, you are certain you are not her child's biological father and say the truth will be revealed today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Renfrau wasted no time making her case. She detailed Mr. Tuesday's absence, not just from her life, but from the life of the child in question. Judge Lauren was puzzled, but she wanted to know why Ms. Renfrau believed that Tuesday was the father of the baby.
So, Ms. Renfro, why do you believe Mr. Tuesday is denying paternity?
He don't want to take financial responsibility. He hasn't been there. He wasn't there through my pregnancy. When I had the baby, he wasn't there. For his surgery, he wasn't there. I've contacted him. I tried to let him know, and there was still nothing, no response.
From the moment she discovered she was pregnant, Tuesday had disappeared. The judge now turned to him to understand what was going on. Mr. Tuesday's defense was blunt, almost dismissive. He denied running away and revealed his reason for not being involved with the child.
Your Honor, I seen him one time. I went over her house one time and that was it, and I realized the baby just don't look nowhere near like me.
So you admit that you have not stepped up to the plate for the baby because you truly don't believe this child is your child?
Yes, Your Honor. I mean, I looked at the baby, look, the baby looks way too white.
Genetics can be funny, but it's often hard to determine paternity by looking at the skin color of your baby. Ms. Renfrau went on to explain her relationship with Tuesday and how she is confident that there had been no foul play from her. But then, the details started coming out.
Were you intimate with anybody else during the window of time when Kendall was conceived?
No, Your Honor.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I'm 100% sure. I know who my kids belong to. I don't just lay down with everybody. I don't sleep with everybody unprotected. And
for Tuesday, this revelation was everything he needed. From his perspective, it confirmed what he had been saying all along. He had been dragged into something that wasn't his problem. He wasn't dodging responsibility. He was being falsely accused. The energy in the room shifted when the results were revealed.
Mr. Tuesday, you are not the father.
Yes!
Oops.
Told you!
Tuesday's reaction was instant. Relief, celebration, a surge of emotion that had been building up since this entire ordeal started. But just as quickly as his celebration began, it was shut down. This wasn't a game. This was a courtroom. And at the heart of this case was a baby whose future now hung in uncertainty.
Calm down, Mr.
Calm down.
Tuesday. Calm down. This ain't a stadium, and the child's life is truly at stake now.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Renfro,
yes, ma'am.
that's not your child's biological father.
That's fine. That is fine. I'm okay with that.
Do you know who is?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. Ms. Renfrau had just crossed it. This wasn't just about getting the wrong man. It was about accountability. The judge had no patience for the way Renfrau had handled the situation.
Look, little smart mouth. No, hold on. Because you done got on my nerves now. Because you got a smart mouth, but you're not smart enough to know when you're lying. Sitting up trying to pin a baby on a man. Hold on, I'm talking now. Since all you can do is shrug your shoulders, stay silent. Because you were so dramatic about how Mr. Tuesday had never done anything.
There's nothing straightforward about this case. On one hand, Ms. Miller is determined to prove that her ex-boyfriend, Mr. Rasmussen, is not the biological father of her 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee. On the other hand, Mr. Rasmussen is just as adamant. He is the father, and he's here to prove it. The battle lines have long been drawn, with custody fights and repeated petitions for a DNA test that were consistently denied. But today, the truth will finally be revealed.
Ms. Miller, you're here to prove to your ex-boyfriend, Scotty Rasmussen, that he is not the father of your 3-year-old daughter, Zaylee Rasmussen.
Yes, Your Honor.
You claim you've been in an ongoing court battle over custody and have petitioned the court several times for a DNA test, all of which have been denied.
Yes, Your Honor.
From the start, the judge's patience begins to wear thin. Ms. Miller insists that Mr. Rasmussen is only pushing for visitation rights to claim Zaylee on his taxes, a claim he furiously denies. He argues that he has driven thousands of miles and paid child support despite Ms. Miller's ongoing attempts to keep him out of their daughter's life.
Yes, I was very mad at him for being a cheater. He cheated on me through pretty much our whole relationship. No, I do not hate him because of that. I lost my respect for him, yes.
He says this is about visitation, too. He loves his daughter, but you don't want him to have the visitation. Is that true?
Yes, Your Honor.
The back and forth quickly turns heated as both sides accuse each other of manipulation, dishonesty, and selfish motives. The judge's frustration grows when Ms. Miller states that she has always believed Mr. Rasmussen isn't the father. The reason? She claims that during the month of conception, Mr. Rasmussen wasn't even in the same state. He was in Las Vegas while she was with someone else.
Why is it you don't want him involved in this child's life?
Because I still believe that he is not hers.
Okay, and listen, that's what we're here for. I want to get down to the bottom of the truth.
Yeah.
You don't believe he's her biological father?
Yes, Your Honor.
So explain to me why.
When she was conceived in March of 2011. He wasn't even in the same state.
It was a terrible mistake indeed. Clearly, Ms. Miller did not forgive the mistake. Despite their affairs, Mr. Rasmussen believed wholeheartedly that he was the father. Although Ms. Miller claimed that another man was responsible for the pregnancy, Mr. Rasmussen's beliefs didn't waver.
What point were you ever told that you were not her biological father?
I believed I was, and still believe, I was the only biological father until about 5 or 6 months or so, give or take, after she was born. We were at family court talking to the family court commissioner about custody and the things that go along with that, like where she'd be going to school, her doctor, and all that.
According to Mr. Rasmussen, he was never given any indication that he wasn't the father until months after Zaylee was born. He had been there for every doctor's appointment, signed the birth certificate, and even rushed through treacherous winter roads to be present at the birth.
On the birth certificate?
Yep, I was at...
You're at the birth?
I was at the birth. I was at every single doctor's appointment. When Zaylee was born, you were at a doctor's appointment. I was at home because I had to work that day. I was at my job as a cashier. I got a phone call and I answered it. They said she was going into labor. I said okay. I hung up the phone. I quickly finished up as fast as I could with that particular customer.
That last detail, however, ignites a new round of hostility. Ms. Miller scoffs, calling his story a complete fabrication. She remembers him differently, disinterested, detached, glued to his computer while she was in labor. He fires back, saying he had to keep himself distracted because he was overwhelmed with excitement. The judge, already growing tired of their contradictions, demands that they stop arguing about emotions and focus on facts.
What was the problem exactly? You let him sign the birth certificate.
I gave my daughter my last name.
Because we were engaged, and I thought we were going to get married. I thought we were going to have a happy life and raise our daughter together until about 3 months after she was born, one of his friends told me everything that he was doing throughout our entire relationship, cheating on me.
And then, the final straw. Mr. Rasmussen's contributions include child support payments, travel expenses, and a willingness to be in Zaylee's life. Meanwhile, Ms. Miller firmly believes that he is not the father, despite allowing her daughter to carry his last name and accepting his financial support for years. The inconsistency is glaring, and the judge does not hold back.
I'm not even quite sure. After we broke up, he changed his number, he moved, he pretty much disappeared. I have tried to find him, I have tried to get a hold of him, and I can't find him.
But you keep saying, Mr. Rasmussen cheated, he did this, he did that. And as wrong as that may be, you also slept with somebody else.
We weren't even dating then. I was single at that time, because he was with this other lady and I was the side chick, which I didn't even really know about.
The frustration boils over. How could she take his money, let him sign legal documents, and still insist she was always sure he wasn't the father. It reeks of manipulation, and the judge does not tolerate games in this courtroom. At this point, there is only one thing left: cut through the chaos and deliver the truth.
Mr. Rasmus, you are not the father.
The woman, who had spent the entire trial alternating between outrage and desperation, barely let the words sink in before exploding with excitement. But not everyone shared her enthusiasm. Judge Lauren, who had spent the entire case barely tolerating the theatrics, had reached her limit.
Miss Miller.
Be respectful.
Sorry.
Miss Miller.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve considering the alternative is somebody that don't want nothing to do with you or your child.
I'm sorry.
That's a lot of nerve. You just showed me where your priorities were right there.
I'm sorry.
Because I held out hope.
Ms. Lopez walked into the courtroom with one goal: to prove, once and for all, that Mr. Carbajal was the father of her children. She was tired of the elaborate schemes she believed he had orchestrated to deny his responsibility. According to her, he had gone so far as to manipulate a DNA test just to escape his obligations. Today, she was determined to expose the truth.
Ms. Lopez, you are here today because you claim the defendant, Mr. Carbajal, allegedly perpetuated a DNA testing scam to try to deny paternity of your kids. You say you are tired of struggling daily to take care of your children alone, and you need to prove he's their biological father.
But if Ms. Lopez was here to fight for justice, Mr. Carbajal was here for redemption. He painted a very different picture, one where he was the true victim of deceit. He was adamant. This wasn't about dodging responsibility. It was about clearing his name from a fabricated story, and today, he would prove it.
Carbajal, you say the plaintiff has left your life in ruins.
Yes.
By fraudulently claiming you are the father of her children. You argue that you did not perpetrate a DNA testing scam and are here today to prove it.
Yes, Your Honor.
This is going to be a long case. To get to the root of the matter, Judge Lauren wanted to know their history, as this would tell her why the child's paternity is even in question. However, what started as a routine question quickly escalated.
Well, I met her through a social network. She told me, hey, come see me, for the weekend or just one night. So I went to go see her. And that day that I went to go see her, she'd be like, we basically have sex that first night.
It was not that
Yes,
first night.
it was.
No,
Yes, it
no,
was
it
the
wasn't.
first night. Yes,
No.
it was. Yes, it was.
No, it was not.
Yeah, whatever.
Ms. Lopez confirmed that she was the mother of 2 children. But it wasn't just the usual paternity dispute. Mr. Carbajal was contesting fatherhood for both of them. Ms. Lopez claimed she was 100% sure that Mr. Carbajal was the father, but Mr. Carbajal argued that it was all about money.
So you claim Mr. Carbajal was the only person you were with
Yes, Your Honor.
during that time that she
Yes,
was
Your Honor.
conceived.
All she's doing this because she wants our money. She knows my
I don't
family.
care
She
about
She
money,
knows my
okay?
family has money, and she knows I don't work.
I don't care
I
about
don't
money,
work,
Your Honor.
right?
I growing up, I did not have a father, and I did not want my daughter growing up without a father.
Well, that's
It
not my
hurts me to
problem.
know that she does not have him around.
The case is getting heated. Mr. Carbajal voiced his doubts. His claim was simple. He had never signed his son's birth certificate. From his perspective, that alone cast a shadow over everything. Why, if he was truly the father, had he been denied that right? But Ms. Lopez fired back that he hadn't been there. The child's grandmother wasn't about to let the truth be twisted.
Why couldn't I sign a birth certificate?
Because you weren't there from the beginning.
I was there.
I was there when they both were born.
Hold on, Miss Avila, please stand up, stand up. What is it that you'd like to add? They're saying they were at the hospital. You say they weren't?
They were at the hospital after they were born. I was there when Aliana was born, when she was being pulled out of my daughter. Second time around, he wasn't there either for the Noah's birth. I was there for Noah's birth.
Mr. Carbajal swore that he had not committed any kind of DNA fraud and was upset that a wrong accusation had followed him like a shadow. The case took a sharp turn when an unsettling piece of evidence surfaced.
So you have an issue regarding the fact that he has a cleft lip.
Yeah.
You say no one in your family's ever been born
No,
with
none
that.
of my
So
mom's
so
side
you
or
believe
father's
he's not
side.
yours.
Your Honor.
She also sent me a picture of a man holding my baby. So
Wait.
That was to
Your
get back
Honor.
Why
at you
would
because
she
you're
send that?
not responsible.
Ms. Lopez's explanation was flimsy at best. She claimed it was an attempt to push him into stepping up, to make him jealous, to force his hand. But the damage was already done. doubt had been planted, and it was growing fast.
I had no sexual contact with my ex or anybody else but your brother, Christina.
That was too soon, though.
It was not too soon.
Yes,
The
it
time
was.
that you sent us that picture, you were already pregnant with Noah.
Yes,
and
you
that
were.
guy looks exactly like Noah.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Hold on, Ms. Carvajal, let me understand what you're just stating. State it again.
Ms. Lopez swore she hadn't been with anyone else and pointed to a physical trait, the child's cleft lip. She admitted that no one in Mr. Carvajal's family had ever been born with such a feature, but she still believed he was the father. Then, the moment of truth arrived. The results were in.
Mr. Carvajal, you are not her father.
Ms. Lopez, once fiery in her accusations, was suddenly at a loss for words. Ms. Lopez had not just lied. She had stood before the court and woven an intricate web of deception, all while attempting to cast an innocent man and his family as villains. But the judge's reaction truly set the tone for what came next. Up until this point, patience had been exercised, but now it has run out.
You know what? We have the results now from a laboratory conducted DNA test, and you sitting up there still arguing about a home DNA test. Now I know you all don't have no sense.
There's no way.
You're just looking for something to argue about. You're just looking for something to say.